Alright. That should be on now. Yeah. Alright. So, hello everyone. I am back with a new update for VR Farm Game, if you're just tuning in. So in the last few days, I've added multiple new features. Hello, Not Bryant, and hello, Glitch. I have added a few new features to VR Farm Game, including cows, teleportation, goats, some updated ducks, and the pond, which now, if you can see, ripples. And I have added a few new things that you can buy over at the markets. Over here we have now the summer stand, which includes marshmallows, toasting sticks, and sparklers. And then over here at the seed shop, I updated the cabbage and added some watermelons. So today in this live stream, I will be going over some of the details on how I created these updates. Alright. So first off, I'm going to start over here with the cows. Currently, they cost $50 and they produce some milk. So let me open up our cows so that you can see them. Awesome. So you can see over here there are a couple of little buckets. They fill with milk whenever you milk any of the cows. You can then empty the bucket over here in the market pickup and get money for it before bringing it back to milk them more. An upgrade that I might add in the future is larger buckets or more buckets so that you can take more milk at once. So that's one of our new animals that I recently added. I also added the goat. He's a pretty cute little low poly goat right here. And he produces goat cheese, which is worth a good bit of money in VR Farm Game. But the catch here is that you have to collect the goat cheese for him to make more. So he doesn't need fed or watered, but his goat cheese needs collected. So that's all for the animals. If we take a look over here, I have added the watermelons, which I can actually show you what a watermelon crop would look like when you grow it. So if I hit crops down here, and then watermelon, boom, there is some watermelons. They look pretty yummy, actually. I could go for a watermelon right now. So that's all that's new in terms of the crops. Over here at the summer stand, you can buy marshmallows, toasting sticks, and sparklers. These marshmallows and toasting sticks will let you toast marshmallows over at the fire, which is currently behind me. And the sparklers, they throw off a few little sparks, and you can write stuff in the air with them, just like with a real sparkler. So over here then, we have the sunflower spectacle, so that you can see some sunflowers while you're sitting here by the fire. In the fire here, we have some flames, which let me enable those, and particle system. So that's what the flames look like on the computer. However, when I was testing, I noticed on the Quest that the flames really slowed down the frames per second. So I made a simplified version of the flames that appear on the Oculus Quest. Behind me there is also some fresh fruit to eat. I will be adding more in the future here. Over here, I have added some apples. So these trees, you can see they're square apples right here. However, if you look below them, they have a spawn point that lets me spawn more apples. So when you're playing VR Farm Game, you can grab one of these apples and you can then sell them. Let me check on our comments section really quick. Awesome. Yellow Years is correct. Currently, VR Farm game is available for both the Oculus Rift, the Oculus Quest, and any Steam VR headset that includes Windows Mixed Reality. So, right now it's in development, so I'm kind of keeping it free just so that anyone can try it. However, in the future, once I have it really solidified, I can then sell it on itch, and I plan to also try and get it on the Oculus Marketplace. Now, Glitch Gaming. Did I do the models myself? Some of these models came from the Simple Farm Asset Store pack. Other ones I created myself. So, for example, some of these, let's see, where are we? Over here, these lily pads. I made a few fancy little lily pads right here. Yeah, so these lily pads here, I created them in Blender, just cutting a few vertices out of a squished circle, a squished sphere, and plopped them right in. I also made some edits to the cow models, and some of these tree models, especially the ones way out here, some of these strange looking pine trees, I created in Blender. Alright, let me check the comments section again. Alright, and Yellow Years asks, am I using OpenVR for it? So I am actually using Unity's XR Toolkit. I learned how to do some base functions from VR with Andrew's tutorials on YouTube. I highly recommend checking them out. For some of my other games, including VR Drum Kit, I used the Oculus SDK. However, I did want to give the XR Toolkit a try here, and I'm really liking it. I think that it has some really awesome features, including ray grabbing, which is what I'm using here. The XR Ray Interactable, or Interactor, lets you grab objects from a distance just by pointing them and then grabbing. Speaking of things in the XR Toolkit, one thing that I wasn't a fan of with this system was how the teleportation worked. Let's see. Checking the comment section again. And Yellow Years asks how I'm doing it on any Steam VR headset. So the Oculus, in my project settings over here, I think that you can see it. In my XR plugin management, I have Oculus set up by default, right here. On Android, that's for Quest, and on PC, I have Oculus, the OpenVR, and Windows Mixed Reality. Now, OpenVR, their package is currently in beta, so I haven't had anyone on a Vive test this yet. However, if anyone does have an HTC Vive and would like to test it and give me some feedback, that would be wonderful, so that I can work on making sure that that OpenVR system gets working well, seeing as it's still in beta from Valve. So, in terms of creating a custom teleport system, I was looking at the built-in teleportation for the XR Toolkit, and what I really didn't like about it was the Ray Interactor. You kind of pointed, you pulled the grip button, and then you pulled the trigger, which didn't seem to really, that just wasn't really intuitive. And I play like Rec Room a lot, And Rec Room for teleportation, they use the X button, so like on your left controller, or the A button on your right controller. And I like the idea of using that, but there just wasn't a way to do that easily in the XR toolkit. So I created my own custom teleportation module. Let me check the comments section before I get back here. Not Bryant. You're right. Some of the VR headsets can get pretty expensive. Although VR Farm Game is supported on the Oculus Quest. So if you were looking for an entry-level system, the Quest would work great. Alright, and then Yellow Seer says he has the OpenVR package. What's the deal with the hands? I'm still trying to figure that out. Something is definitely up with the OpenVR hands. I've seen that a bit on VR with Andrew's Discord server. I'm thinking it might have something to do with the placement of the HTC Vive controllers just not quite translating in. But I'm thinking that if this does become a problem in here, what I will do is just move. I'll have a script that if it's on OpenVR, then I'll just kind of change where the hands are, like replace their attached transforms, basically. So, my custom teleportation script, I recently added to Farm Game. This is what I'm working on getting to in here. So, you'll notice right here on the left-hand controller, I have a custom teleporter module, which includes a line renderer. Let me shrink it. And the custom teleporter script. So basically what this module right here does is it lets you point with your hand, press a button, and then release it to teleport instantly there. So I will show you what is in that script right now. And I've commented it so that we can pretty easily see what all of this looks like. So I'm going to switch to my right monitor here. Alright, you should all be seeing my right monitor now. So, this is the custom teleporter C# script. And so we're using the Unity engine, XR, and the XR Interaction Toolkit. So this custom teleporter script requires a line renderer to be attached to it. So then we find a line renderer right here, there's our variable, and we create a raycast hit variable. I'll show you how that works later. Then we have a float for the maximum distance, which is basically the maximum distance that the ray can go before it kind of dies out, which kind of limits you from teleporting all the way across the world in one jump. So then we have an XR controller. So this XR controller is kind of, it would be attached to, like, for example, a PSVR controller, or the Quest controller, or a Vive controller. Any of those would work kind of as that XR controller. So then we have a current press and a last press. I'll show you how that works later. It's because the XR toolkit doesn't have any built-in managers for, like, it doesn't have a built-in interaction manager. And speaking of that, I actually recently did a tutorial from VR with Andrew on creating an interaction manager for that. And that's where I got some of this code right here for the get button down and up events. And then we also have a teleportation surface bool, a game object for our XR rig, and a game object for the marker. The marker is basically a little thing that appears. One second. The teleportation marker is basically a little thing that appears because the line kind of just ends when it hits the ground. So I put that little marker there just so that you can then better see where you're going to teleport to and kind of envision it. So in our start, this is what happens right when you open up the game. We have line renderer, that's our LR, equals get component line renderer. So that basically sets the line renderer variable to the line renderer already on this custom teleporter game object. So then we disable the line renderer, and we set its position count to 2, because right now the teleportation is just a simple line from your hand to where it touches the ground. So then in our update, we just make sure that it is disabled, and we turn off our marker temporarily. So then if we have a button, if there's a primary button on our controller, then tell us what it is in this current press variable. So if it's true, then we can enable, I misspelled that comment, enable the renderer. So we enable the renderer right there, and then we go to this function calculate line. So we have a vector 3 starting position, and this is basically just the hands transform position. Let me check the comment section. Okay, so let's see, here we were. So that's just the hands transform position. So if we have a physics raycast, so basically if this raycast works is what it's asking here. If this raycast works from the starting position, going out forward basically, our out hit, it takes the hit and puts it into that raycast hit that we put up here. And then we have our maximum distance, which we already set up above. And we're just going to default this to not being a teleportation surface yet. So then we check and see if it has the tag teleport, which lets us know whether it's a teleportation surface. Then we can set our starting position and ending position of the line renderer, turn on the marker, move the marker to where our raycast hit, and call it a teleportation surface. So then we go back up to here, where when you release the button is basically what this is asking. When you release the button, if what you are aiming at is a teleport surface, and the point that you touched is not the 0 position, and I'll tell you why in a second there, then we should move to the position that you pointed at. Now the reason that I had that asking there if it wasn't the 0 position was because if you pointed at something that wasn't a thing, like if you pointed at the sky, for example, and released it, then you would instantly be snapped to 0, 0, 0, because raycast hit didn't hit anything, and so by default its hit point was 0. So I just needed to check that that basically it wasn't returning 0 right there. And then finally, we would say that our last press is the current press. So that's how I got the button and teleportation working. I will show you how all of this works at the end of the video. Now I wanted to go over here and show you some of this pond. Let me switch back to my main monitor. Awesome. I think that you can all see me again. Perfect. So we're going to go right here, and you can kind of see right next to the pond how these waves slowly ripple along the pond, and it's really kind of cool. You can watch them come up and down this one duck that's sitting over here, and you can watch them cover up this lily pad. So you might wonder how I made this. I actually used a tutorial to create a shader by Dapper Dino on YouTube. It was a really informative tutorial on creating this wave shader, and I will actually open that shader up for you so that you can see exactly how this works. Materials, shaders, waves. Alright, let me switch over to my other monitor. Right hand. Alright. So our custom wave shader has color, strength, which is like how high the waves are, and how fast the waves move. So going through here, isn't particularly anything interesting in here quite yet. However, then we have this struct for a vertex input, which lets us find the position of any vertex in our pond. Okay, and then the vertex output sets our float of the position to this SV position, our vertex here. So we have a vertex output, okay, from right here, called vertex function, that takes in the vertex input, and it outputs O. So our float 4 of the world position basically takes the Unity's object to world of the vertex, so basically takes the vertex's position and converts it to world. And then we calculate some displacement right here with cosine, speed, time, all of that. And that basically is what makes that nice wave effect. Okay. Then over here we have our O output position, and we send in our world position right there and return the output. And then our fragment function just returns our color and the vertex input. So what that ends up doing, if I switch back to my main desktop right here, is it ends up creating this waving effect that I can actually customize. So right now we have our strength is 0.1 and our speed is 24. I'm going to bring those back to what they were before, just so that nothing gets messed up in here. But you can see if I adjust the strength, we get different sized waves. Like that. 0 is none, and 2 is waves that are really tall. Now, when it's up like this, you can see all of those vertexes kind of moving along right there. Do you see how each one has a, do you see how there's those little points right there? Each of those points has a vertex that it holds. And so those vertexes, the more you have, the better it looks. And so it doesn't look very good right now at 2, but if I keep it shrunk down at 0.1, it doesn't look at all bad. So it's really just a matter of case. So then speed, let me increase this again so you can see it a bit better. Speed up to 200 makes the waves really, really fast. And a really low speed makes them go much more slowly. Now if I set them to a negative value, then the waves go backwards. So I'm going to set these back to 24, and this back to 0.1. And now our pond is back to the normal calm pond that it was. I also updated the duck animation and made these ducks smaller. For whatever reason before, I had these ducks set to 2 times the size that they should have been. So either way, I made a new duck animation here. And I shrunk the ducks a little bit. And so this animation is just a 35 second animation on here. But the duck just kind of lazily swims around the pond. He stops on the lily pad for a second. And spins, does kind of a neat little spin around. And returns back to where he started. And starts looping again. So we don't need to watch that duck forever. Don't need to spy on him. But that's how the ducks are working right now. I also wanted to share with you something that I worked on here that I really just learned about. I probably should have seen it and learned about it sooner. 1 second, let me check the comment section here. So, in our back over here, what I was saying here was I learned about these attach transforms. And so the attach transform is basically a location on an object that like the object kind of snaps to when you grab it. Okay? And so this pitchfork, for example, we have a capsule collider right on the pitchfork for the handle, and a box collider for the tines of the pitchfork. So our attach transform is right here, so that when you hold the pitchfork, it kind of holds like you would actually be holding it, as opposed to the pitchfork being attached weirdly like it was before. Before it was kind of attached right on the tines and stabbing you in the face and all of that. Let me check the comment section. Well, hello, Pizza Scripts. I'm glad that you are here. So that was one instance of the attached transform. The next one that I used it in was our watering can, which I did recently update just to make it look a little bit better here. Our watering can is now using a nice smooth material, which kind of matches with the rest of the scene. And you'll see I have another attach transform on here. And so before, when you held the watering can, it was held like right in the middle, which was kind of awkward. Alright, thanks for watching, Not Bryant. See you later. So I moved the attach transform here out to the handle, so that now when you hold the watering can, it feels much more natural and it rotates around the handle. So now, basically, when you grab the watering can, no matter where you point at it, if you point at it here, here, anywhere, it now slides the watering can into your hand, so that right there at that little point where all three of those axes intersect is where your hand is. And I've only used the attach transform in one other case, and that was the bucket. The bucket now has an attach transform right on the top, so that when you have it, it kind of swings more like a bucket as opposed to holding it right in the middle. Something that I do need to put the attached transforms on is these crates right here. Let me check the comment section. Alright. Yeah, so that's the attached transforms. Since the last video, also, I added buyable land for this entire area. So now you can buy all of this land here. This ends up being 20 plots. And so our first row, you get this one for free for the tutorial. And then right here, this one's 10 bucks in the game, obviously. 20 is all of this next row. 30 on the next row, and 40 on the last row. Alright. Also, I have recently added into our truck right here a particle system, which produces a bit of fancy smoke kind of coming out of the back of it. Now, it doesn't look particularly interesting when it's sitting right here. However, if I copy our transform so that we can hold it in the same position, and then I move it forward and backward, you can kind of see those puffs of smoke coming out like that. And so those puffs of smoke, then, you'll kind of see them when the truck is moving, down the road. And that kind of lines up with the sound effect of the truck puttering along. It actually was an old Model T sound effect. So that's kind of cool. In fact, I think I can play that for you if I go into my sounds folder. You should be able to hear it right through my stream, I think. Let me check. Alright, yeah, my sound is on there. So if I hit sounds, pickup truck. Alright. Let's just let that load up. And you should now be able to hear the sound. 1 second. So it's a 30-second sound effect here. Which that 30 seconds also happens to line up. Let's see. Hello to AG. That 30 seconds also happens to line up with the animation on the truck. It actually doesn't happen that way. That's how I set it up. So the animation on the truck, if you haven't seen it before, I don't know if you have or not, but basically, if I'm holding the truck right here, and I hit play, the truck just kind of goes around this loop right here. And so that's exactly 30 seconds of an animation, and so is the sound effect, which means that the sound effect can play the entire time that the truck is going around. Now the truck, I've showed you this in other videos, but in case you're new, the truck does a neat little spin right there. Yeah, I'll work on improving the animation at some point with that. Alright, stop it, truck. Yeah, alright. Yeah, so the truck does a bit of a spin. I'll work on improving the animation with that later. But that's one of just kind of a neat little thing in there. So I'm thinking right now, we're kind of getting near the end of this stream here. But I do want to show you how everything works in VR Farm game. So right now, here what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make sure that my Oculus is open and switch into my headset. I'll make sure that I have the audio on for you. And you'll be able to see, I think I'll showcase the truck, teleportation, maybe the cows, a few things like that. Just a few quick things so that you can see exactly how it is right now. And then I will finish this stream up. So let me turn off my video temporarily and hit play right here. Let me see if it's going to make it full screen for me or not. No, it won't. Alright, so let me come out of the play mode for a second. There we go. Awesome. So, let me set my desktop audio to be... Alright, let me set my audio back to my default headphones. Right. So there's my headphones again. Awesome. Now let me check on the comment section here. On my headphones again. Turn on my camera. Ta-da! Alright. So, awesome. Pizza scripts. I'm glad that you like it. Alright, and then Nats K had a few questions here. She asks, will it be a choice while you are in game that you can alternate between walk and teleport? Yes, in fact you can. So if you just push on the joystick, that makes you move normally. Basically moves you in the direction you're facing. While pressing on the A button, it might be A, it might be X, it just depends on what controllers you have. On my Oculus Touch, they're X, but on the Valve Index, it might be A. Ooh, I just got a notification over there. So then pressing the A button teleports you. I might add a setting that will turn one or the other off, just so that you can't accidentally trigger one or the other when you're trying to do something else. And then, thanks for demonstrating it. You're welcome. I kind of like doing this little in VR playthrough kind of thing at the end of the stream, just so that you can all see kind of what I've been working on and what I got done. So we're at 1 hour and 1 minute since I started the stream. So this is looking like I'm going to finish up the stream in the next few minutes right here. So just to reiterate, you can download VR Farm Game at picoplanetdev.itch.io/VRFarmGame, which takes you to this page right here. Has a link to my YouTube. You can see this neat little 360-degree photo of it if I click on it right here. So this is for in case you don't have a VR headset that's compatible, or maybe you just want to take a look at it before trying it out. You can now look around a 360-degree view of what VR Farm Game kind of looks like. If anyone has feedback for it, you can give it right here on this nice little feedback. Can join my Discord server, https://discord.gg/N_K_D3FRV. And I will put that right in the chat for you in case you want to join. I'd love to see someone there. And the development log. So you can just click download now right here. You don't have to tip me if you don't want to, but you can if you want. And you can download it as an APK, which you can sideload to your Oculus Quest, or as a zip file for Rift or Steam VR. Now also on SideQuest.com, SideQuestVR.com, if you search for Farm Game, you can hit that little install latest when your Quest is plugged in, and that will automatically install it on your Quest for you. So awesome. Thank you everyone for watching my live stream. I hope that you learned something about VR Farm Game, and I hope that you'll give it a try and let me know what you think of it. That pretty much concludes this live stream, so I will see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in.